Hi guys, so we're just going to have a look today at the new unit. Here it is. I've got no real plans for this video other than to kind of explore and have a look around. So maybe go back over some of the basics and just try and create some noise really. So I'm starting with just a really simple one-step patch. I've got some different sounds set up so we can experiment with those, and we'll play around with the settings and also the kind of chord sequences and show you what's going on. So I've got the first ARP set up here, and all the ARPs are all set to the same values, and I'm just going to flick through the MIDI channels to show you the sounds that I've got set up. So I've got a simple piano going to begin with. We've just got a one-step sequence. Simple piano, Fender Rhodes or something, Japanese style synth, I think it's a dupe, something a bit West Coast, something a bit East Coast. So we'll start off over here. I'm going to set up a chord sequence to begin with, just so that it's going to play something interesting while we're exploring. And I'm just going to use a single note step to do that at the moment. I tell you what, no, I'm not. I'm going to change the steps to 3. Let's go 4. The time, I've got 4 beats per bar, so each bar is going to play 4 notes, and a simple 4-step sequence is going to play the same 4 notes in the sequence over and over. So let's start there. And I'm currently set up to play in C major chord. So let's play something and try and find something just simple enough. So you can see what it's doing. It's on the major. Let's try a minor. Let's go back to major and up, and finish on a 7th, and then back to C. I'll do. Now we can program the sequence. This isn't really the main feature of Midicake ARP. It's intended to kind of follow along with the other music that's playing, and we'll look at that in another video. But I'm just going to go into the program mode, click program, and here I can set up the sequence that I want to play. So these are up to 32 bars, and for the first bar I want to play C major. And then I want to play E minor in the next bar, and then an F major, and then G7th. I've come out of program mode, press play. Get the idea. So that's going to carry on now while we go and edit and change up that first arpeggiator. And let's point that ARP at the Fender Rhodes for now. So what we're going to start with, obviously, volume, gate, all that kind of thing's all not too exciting. We can change the octave, and this octave is relative to the master octave. So we set it to 0. It's going to play or whatever the master octave set up. So back in play mode, I can increase the global octave, and that affects all the ARPs. So this octave value is relative to that. Let's go with a time. We go up to 32 beats per bar, which is pretty insane. And beyond 32 beats, we can get into triplets. And so on and so forth. Let's come back to something a bit more sensible. The steps, obviously, is the number of steps that the sequence is going to play. So you remember that we set the major chord, for example. If we're back in play mode, if we press and hold the chord buttons, it shows you the notes that are going to play, and this is relative to C. So that would be C major, C minor, etc. We just hover over them. We can actually override them by choosing a different value from the list. We can scroll through them, or we can set our own sequences, and that'll be shown as a custom option. We can do that. I've got another video on that. You can go and take a look. Let's just reset it for now. But the point I'm trying to get to is the number of steps being played follows the available notes in the sequence, and the notes available are determined by the chord. So in this case we've got C, D sharp, and this is minor, and G, and those notes will be played. So given we've got a 4-step sequence, it's going to play C, D sharp, G, C, and as we add steps it's just going to keep going up. But that's only if we have the direction set. So the direction is currently set to up, but we could change that to down or up down or so on and so forth. So it's going to go up and down through the sequence depending on whichever algorithm is associated with each of the directions. Yeah. So on an up, now we're just playing, we're still playing our sequence, yeah? It's just going to go up. So let's change that to down. You get the idea. And if we change to up down, it's going to go part way up the sequence and then back down, and then down and up and down, up down, something like that. Anyway, let's go back to up so it makes sense. What's the next thing we're going to look at? Let's have a look at bounce. So now we've determined the direction that we're going to go through. Let's change the way it kind of moves through the sequence. So although we're rising up the sequence, we can actually change how it chooses which note to play next, and that's what bounce is about. So by standard, it uses a hop, which is kind of just move to the next note. Pretty obvious. And then there's a number of different patterns that we can choose from here. So skip kind of jumps one head one and falls back, etc. We can pogo, we can ping pong, and we can ladder up the chain. Now these don't sound that exciting until we add more steps to the sequence. So let's set it back to the default and set the number of steps up. Let's go for, well, let's go nuts. Let's go 12 steps. You get the idea. So let's change the bounce now and see what happens. Laddering up. Extremes, only the bottom and top notes. And so on and so forth. And there's loads of these. Let's shove it back to there. So hopefully you can see that by changing the parameters, you can build all kinds of sequences just off the steps, the direction, and the bounce. And then the other things around it kind of control that. We can also repeat notes. So if we've got a pattern going, let's set our number of steps down. Let's just go to 4. Let's set our repeat to 2. You get the idea? So it just repeats each note in turn. Plan to do more with this in terms of repeating either the extreme notes or various patterns within that, because I think that could be pretty powerful, but for now it only repeats every note. We've also got jump. Jump determines how it moves up through a sequence to kind of skip notes, and by default it's an octave. So it'll jump to 2 notes in the sequence at a time, and jump 3 notes in the sequence at a time, and quickly goes out of audio range. But it's kind of cool for wide frequency sounds. Delay allows you to offset the note in time, which is only really useful when you're playing it with other things. So you're not going to hear it here, it's just going to slow down and then get back in sync with itself. And then we got step offset. Step offset changes the offset of the step that it starts, and that's used for doing kind of rounds type rhythms with 2 different ARPs. So you've got one going and then another, and you can change the note offset as well. And the note changes if you're in scale mode; it moves to the next note in the scale. So if I move it up 1 note, so if I move it up one note, you get the idea. It's just moved up a single note in the scale. If we set that to chromatic instead of scale and set it to 0, it's just gone one note up in the regular Western musical scale. Let's set that back to scale so I don't scare myself later. We can also adjust the gate and the volume. Talked about that before. Gate's quite powerful for managing, particularly electronic synths, because obviously setting the release time, if you like, or the sustain time, I should say. And you can go all the way up to 32 bars if you're really nuts. You want to create some drone kind of sounds. Incidentally, while we're here, the knob has an acceleration on it, so it'll jump up quickly, and then as you slow down, it'll do fine grain. Or you can use the up and down buttons to go one step at a time. Yeah, this video's going on, and I didn't intend to get into such detail. The next thing I want to look at is patterns to actually make this thing a bit more interesting. I'm going to up the number of steps. I'm going to do 8. Let's keep it on the bar. And I remember, because the bar is determined by the number of beats per bar, to make it sound right. And then I won't go into modes. I'm going to stick in ARP mode for now. But let's have a look at some rhythms. So the rhythm patterns allow you to set the volume of the note that's played at each step. So we've got 8 steps, and I've got a rhythm length of 4. I could set that to anything up to 16 steps in the pattern. But the rhythm itself, the rhythm pattern itself, determines the volume of each note. So just a standard. And obviously it's got to be velocity sensitive, the instrument that you're playing. And I'm not entirely sure that this thing is. I'll tell you what, let's go to something that is. Let's go to the piano again. Yeah, this is definitely rhythm velocity sensitive. So here, this pattern is it's 4 long. I've got the length set to 4, but it's fully loud, half loud, fully loud, not loud at all. And we can, I think there's 16 patterns. We can cut out notes and create interesting things. So let's pick one. Let's pick one at random. If we press the program button, we can actually edit these. We can cycle through the steps and we can adjust these. And these will be saved per bank. So each bank has its own set of patterns. So we can adjust this. And we can also tie notes together by, once you get to the maximum volume on a step, you can just increase it. And if we carry on through the pattern, let's come out of that now, and let's change the rhythm length. With the pattern set, if you separate out the notes to make a kind of more granular pattern and increase the time division, you can get some interesting effects going on. So let's stick with that for now. And our sequence is still playing. So let's see what that sounds like with a number of different sounds. I'm going to copy this this pattern in set mode. I can do copy and copy the ARP from 1 to 2. And what that's done is it's taken all the parameters from the first ARP channel and copied it into the second ARP channel. And I'm going to do that for all of them, but I'm gonna tweak them. I'm going to tweak them each first. So I'm going to bring the time down on this one and probably just drop the octave and see what happens. I'm messing around now. And then I'm going to copy that one and paste it over to the third one. And what am I going to do on this one? I'm going to tweak this slightly. I'm going to put this on a different pattern length, and I'm going to divide that by 2. So I'm going to put that on 6 to see what happens. And now let's put those together. So I've got 3 is outputting on channel 1. So let's unmute this one and see what's happening. So this is currently on. Yeah, let's leave it on that one. And let's come to the second one. That's very loud. Let's turn that down a tad. Yeah, we'll mix it probably after. That's nice, but what I might do is just drop that down another octave. Get some bass. And let's bring them all in. So you can see how easy it is to create the kind of arpeggiation you want on a single channel. Copy it across and get something that works across, and then you can go away and play with the sounds once this is running. Let's just go in and change this one up a little bit now. Let's put this on. Some delay, see what happens. How to mess it up completely. Let's offset the step and see what happens. So the pattern's still going on underneath on the second and third arps, but the first arp is slightly out of sync. Around with the gate. That's gone crazy now. I went too many beats. That's the Moog for you. Now, interestingly, what we can also do at this point is, well, at any point to be honest, is assign some of these parameters to the macro knobs, and we can do that like this. So you can be in play mode or set mode; it doesn't really matter. But basically, press and hold the knob, and you want to then choose the ARP channel that you want to affect. So let's just have a listen to what's going on. So this one, we quite like the being able to mess around with the gate, yeah? Oh, I messed that up, didn't I? Let's set up my chord pattern again. There we go. Yeah, we wanted to mess around with the gate, didn't we? So what I can do is I can assign this one to ARP1 and gate, yeah? And now when we turn this, we can adjust the gate of ARP1. Let's take ARP2, see what it's doing. This one, we were playing around with the octave, weren't we? So let's set that to the octave. And then the third one, you know what? I'm going to do something crazy with the third one. You can do what you can assign whatever you want, but I'm going to do all 3 ARPs, and I'm going to set the number of steps. And I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to set the number of I'm going to set the number of steps. And on this one, I'm going to assign all 3 ARPs. Ooh, not 4 because we're not using 4, but I could do it if I wanted to. And I'm going to I'm going to set the MIDI channel. And see what happens there. That could make some very interesting stuff. So now, I can't remember what I sound set the octave. So you can kind of set up a performance in that way. Now let's see what goes on if I mess with this one. Oh, that's set to steps. I thought I'd assign that to someone else. Oh, yeah, maybe you can't. Let's assign it to... let's assign it to... let's have a C. Let's assign it to bounce. And then of course we can use the global octave. There you go. Midicake ARP.